Welcome to the Jobs and Work podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Kendra Jason. I'm a sociologist and workplace equity consultant, and I will bring guests onto the show who reflect the diversity of the American workforce. On this podcast, I challenge you to think about work. Why? Because in America, we spend more time at our jobs than anywhere else. But how often do we really talk about work? And I mean all types of work: women's work, essential work, retirement, being your own boss, how to handle your boss, and so much more. Please subscribe and share the Jobs and Work with Work for Change podcast. You can learn more about my consultancy that supports this podcast at work4changellc.com. Hello, and welcome to episode 51 of the Jobs and Work with Work for Change podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, Miss Jessica Mitchell. Welcome to the show, Jessica.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
All right, let me get into Jessica's bio. You know how this goes. We're going to read her bio, then I'm going to jump into some questions. And I always say, once I read a person's bio, you will know exactly why I asked them to be on this podcast. So thank you all for those of you who are watching on YouTube or are listening or streaming on your audio devices. So this is Miss Jessica Mitchell. She's the co-host on the radio show Big Frank in the Morning, where her radio name is Shari. She's also features her Big Girl Chronicles on that show. We'll talk about that in a moment. She's currently in a master's degree program at Medaille University for clinical mental health counseling, and she's in the process of launching her own sneaker line called Blue by Shari. Most importantly, she loves God, and she was recently ordained as an elder just this past August at the Covenant of Grace Fellowship International under the leadership of Pastor Bertha Brinson and the late Joseph Brinson Jr. She loves to make people laugh, and she wants to leave this world empty, giving all that she has been ordained to do. So let's get into it. Okay. Yeah. All right. So the first thing is so one of the things, and I was telling Jessica about this a minute ago, is that, one of the reasons I really are inspired to bring our special guests on the show is because I have been fascinated by watching their life unfold in front of me and on social media. Now, me and Jessica know each other. Me and Jessica are sisters.
Yes.
On many different levels.
so many.
Sisters from another mister, sisters in Christ, sisters like sisterhood, sisters
in ministry, sisters in life.
So I do know Jessica pretty intimately, right? And I've known her for at least 12 years, yes. Right? And so and you know how it is, like we sisters, but we don't touch base, but every once in a while, right? But we keep in touch, through that social media, and we send the texts and the happy birthdays and the I love yous and things of that nature. We grown here, we know that's how it go, right? And so I've been watching Jessica. I've been watching so much of her life, what she's chosen to share online, and I've had some personal conversations, and I've just been so fascinated with where she is in this particular moment right now, this particular moment. And I actually want to start with the radio show, right? So first of all, can you tell us what led you to the radio show, and then tell us a little bit about the format of the radio show, just so people, if we want to get some new listeners, let's put their information down so they can click and listen on Fridays. Be hype. Let me tell you something.
Friday. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The conversation can turn very quickly. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. How I got to the radio. So Big Frank is a guy I have been friends with for about 13 years now.
Okay.
I met him shortly before my move to New York City, and we just became like instant family. And so he's worked for a couple of radio stations in Buffalo, and God told him he was going to launch his own. So shout out to Big Frank.
Yeah.
And I was doing posts on Facebook called Big Girl Chronicles. And so he was like, sis, I want you to be on the radio. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that right now. So we at the time we were pre-recording our radio segments, and
Okay.
it kind of just went from like a once in a while type of thing, and then he trapped me, and I told him this in person. So when he sees it, I was like, he trapped me, and he was like, Big Girl Chronicles needs to be on the radio every day.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we started out, we were doing Monday through Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and it just evolved from there. And so like he made Big Girl Chronicles a big part of it. I'm also you will, if you listen to the radio show, the intro to Big Frank in the Morning, I'm actually on it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it started off that way, and it's been an amazing experience ever since. It's been about 2 years doing the radio show with Big Frank, and it's amazing. Like, I love it.
It is an amazing experience. And I say experience, it's like a shared experience, because like, I mean, that's the beauty of radio. Like, even though we're not in the studio with you, those daily conversations, you build a relationship with people on the radio, like, because you're used to that routine, and they get you through your day. And so I want to talk about Big Girl Chronicles for a second. And for the viewers, for people who haven't subscribed to Big Girl Chronicles yet, right? Tell them what they can expect to, some of the things they can expect to hear from Big Girl Chronicles, and some of the response that you've gotten from it.
Oh, okay. So Big Girl Chronicles originally started out because I have had the pleasure of dressing people. So a lot of plus size women have come to me and be like, I'm trying to be comfortable in my own skin, but I want to look a certain way. And so I've been able to style some individuals, and it started with really me seeing in Buffalo. It started with me seeing a bunch of beautiful big women, but just dressed totally the wrong way.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, honey, you're so pretty, but like, you can't wear a crop top, like 400 pounds. And so Big Girl Chronicles started to talk about, really the proper way of dressing and knowing your body. And so then it started off as actually a joke between me and my sister, Sharita. We were like, that's violation .52.4. And so it really is, it's an empowerment. It has evolved into an empowerment segment where I talk about life. I talk about relationships. I talk about stereotypes that comes with plus size women. I talk about loving yourself and finding your health, even as a plus size woman. I'm currently in the process of vlogging my weight loss journey. So, me and another host, Diaja. So it's really us just empowering women all together, but it started off because I am a big girl, and in Buffalo, they're like, oh, you must not be from here because you don't dress like some of the big girls here, and you smell good and things like that. So that's how really Big Girl Chronicles started. Now the responses have been really good. I had a couple of bad ones. Some people didn't like one of my segments that I did about, plus size women wearing certain onesies, and I made a joke about looking like a wrestler. And it was really in a joking manner. And but it was a very much a learning experience for me. Because I didn't, people know me. I like to make jokes. Sometimes you laugh to soften the blow. And some people were like, well, I'm gonna wear it anyway, and I don't care what you say. And I was like, and if you're empowered to feel that way, definitely feel that way. But I'm also here to just present you with your best self.
Right.
And so, I lost like 2 followers. I wasn't really hurting because more came along, and I didn't realize that, it was missed until, we had a situation where we had a break with the radio station. We were getting ready to reformulate the station. So we had a couple of months break, and it was just like, everybody's like, when's Big Girl Chronicles coming out? And so I really realized, like, okay, it's really touching a big audience, and it's just been an ever evolving thing for right now that I will be actually, along with some other things, launching a Big Girl Chronicles and Plus Size Princess t-shirt line.
Okay.
So, because I've had some people ask me for Big Girl Chronicle t-shirts or Plus Size Princess t-shirts. So, just really, it's evolved a lot.
Yeah.
over the time. But
Yeah.
I'm honored that, you know, I was the vessel chosen to do it.
Yeah, it's really, while you were talking, I was thinking about all the layers of entrepreneurship, and just really the integration of what you're doing. And so in this current moment, you are at least a radio show host,
Yes.
a full-time student and for a master's degree program,
Yes.
a fashion designer,
In the makings.
and a whole, no, you're already a face, I was gonna say a fashion stylist and designer,
Yes.
and like a whole elder in the church
And an armor bearer.
and an armor bearer, right? And
Yes.
so, I guess what I'm trying to capture here, and we need like a whole week with Jessica really to really I'll tell you, I was really surprised to see Jessica on the radio, and especially because the radio has a streaming service, like you can see them live, because Jessica is such a behind the scenes person. She's like the Jackie of all trades with all of these talents and so many hidden talents. I'm not gonna tell all of them because y'all gonna start putting them on requests, and she gonna be like, no, I want to do those.
Yeah, I'm not.
Right? You have like so many really good talents, right? But you're excellent on the mic, but you never want to hold the mic, right?
Yes.
You're excellent as a leader, but you rather support leadership, And so when I saw you on the radio show, I was just like, wow. To me, it felt like you were possibly stepping out of your comfort zone, in this sense, because so for those people who don't know you or know your story, like, did you foresee yourself in radio, or what was the vision that you had for yourself, and how is it different from the way your life has actualized today?
Oh wow. So how did I see myself not doing what I'm doing now?
That's what I know.
Honestly, I really just saw myself as a background supporter in ministry.
Yeah.
I did prayer calls, I did things of that sort, but I really originally wanted to do Broadway. God said absolutely no to that. And I realized that my voice is kind of basic. So I was like, good harmony holder. At the most. But it was really, I really planned on, either doing Broadway or really just being a supporter in ministry. I love to support people. I love to be the cheerleader for people who are launching out. And so I really just saw myself helping people in ministry for the rest of my life. It really, honestly, it was some impactful people that came along that helped with that journey. But the last leg of the journey, I would have to give to my sister, Shari Williams. She really helped me, kind of come out of my box the most in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And so it was really like, we were going to the same church at the same time. And so I was serving her as her armor bearer while she was in Buffalo. And then God called me to my current church, and my bishop was like, don't get comfortable being in there. Like, I'm gonna let you sit, but not sit too long. And I was like, sure you are. And I was like, he doesn't know about my good ability to run. And it's a running joke between us now, but I said they tricked me into showing up to a minister's meeting. And they're like, oh, we just want you to come to this meeting and sit in. And it was at a very pivotal point in my life. God, the delivering process had finished. And my bishop became my father very quickly, and he saw so much in me. And so he groomed me into becoming a minister, and then groomed me up until the point where, unfortunately, he passed in 2019, but he prepared me for eldership. And so my previous experience with serving my sister, serving a pastor that lives in North Carolina, serving some other people, prepared me for the armor bearer portion of it. But I was not prepared for preaching on a regular basis. Yeah. But the radio show brought out more of me, and it brought more of the ability to be transparent, but also be authentically funny and be okay with it.
Yes. Yeah.
And so Big Frank, he's a person that will pull the stuff out of you, the secret things out of you. So
Yeah.
it was like, no, you're gonna do this. No, you're successful. No, we got you. He was the one who put me on the track for wanting to launch my t-shirt line
Yeah.
and line. So it was just like the transition has been very interesting, to say the least. But and even shout out to you, you've always been the background supporter, and it was like, Jess, I know there's gonna be more, and I'm like, sure. But just having the right people in my life, at the God-given time they're supposed to be there, has made this person the way that I am. But the radio has definitely brought me out of my shell and being in the background, because at one point it was just me and Big Frank, and now we have 5 people on the show now. So we were forced to kind of like come out the box and be yourself. So
I think, thank God so much for people like Frank, and shout out to Sharita out there. That's another sister of mine. Because I think your story is like so many. So I know, like I said, I've known Jessica for a long time. We've traveled to many cities together.
Yes.
Roommates, long car rides, all the things. And Jessica is the kind of person, if this isn't, I'm talking to my viewers now, if this isn't you, then you know somebody like this, right? You got that homegirl, that homeboy that's so funny. Like, you feel like having a relationship with them is like the best kept secret, because you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe that I get to enjoy this person and what this person has to give, because they don't give it to everybody. They don't actually give it to a whole bunch of people, right? And so you feel so like honored to be that person who they let in, because they're so funny and giving and loving, and all the things that make you feel good about yourself for being in a relationship with that person, right? So that's Jessica, 100%, right? And so I was really glad, because like, in Big Girl Chronicles, other people get to see that other side. They get to see not just your humor, because you know what, you do package things in humor, because that's how you process so much of, like, okay, let's keep it real. Like, Jessica is an ordained minister. She see and deal with a lot of traumatic things, hardships, tribulations. She got everybody problems. Y'all know what y'all give y'all pastors to think. She has everybody's problems, right? And so the way that I think about you deal with that as a person is you process a lot of things in humor. But not only is Big Girl Chronicles and what the radio show allows us not to just see how humorous you are, but like how really thoughtful and how much discernment you have, right? It's very much like that aunt or that mom, that person you go to and be like, I'm really trying to figure this out. Like, what you think? Because what they think is like the real. It's like the old spiritual thinking, like.
Yeah, honestly, God has created a platform, and none of this would be present without God. God has created a platform where I see the necessity of transparency to help people.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to be transparent because they're very ashamed of their story. And I am not. I have been through a lot through my life. My journey, is coming together in book form.
Yeah.
But it's where people think it's impossible to come out of, a homosexual lifestyle and things like that. It's not. And it really is to help people understand we do overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And so for me, the platform is really to help people. Yes, you'll laugh, but the conversation does change. You may get a prophetic word on the radio station.
Yeah.
But it's really to help people navigate through this life, whether you believe in God or not. And
right.
That's the point that a lot of radio stations, what makes us different is really that we are authentic ourselves as 5 believers who love Jesus. We have different viewpoints, but everybody needs that word or that encouragement, or dang, how do I just get through mental health? And so that's where Big Girl Chronicles is all encompassing, because I do deal with mental health with Black men, Black women, and the population as a whole. So
I wanted to ask you, I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to ask you specifically, you're getting a master's degree in mental health counseling. What led you to pursue that as a credential versus like as a pastor? Because some people use their pastors as a counselor, right? But you take that extra step. So what inspired you to pursue the degree?
Honestly, it was God. Once again, my sister helped a little bit. But it was really because as a leader, there is really not a lot of safe spaces to go to.
Yeah.
Really struggling with mental health. I was on depression meds for a few years. The Lord allowed me to come off, and I'm doing well with mental health, but it was really navigating being a leader, and this was just at minister level. Eldership is a different level.
Yeah.
But it was really understanding that leaders need a safe space to go to not everything is not prayer and hookabashaya and it's a spirit. Some things are a chemical imbalance and they need help. And so when you're pouring out so much, it does affect your mental health. And so I decided, a few years ago that I wanted to be a clinical mental health counselor for church leadership.
Okay.
And be a safe space.
Yeah.
Because I understand to a certain degree. Obviously, the levels are different, so I may not understand what a bishop is going through.
Yeah.
But I work closely with my pastor,
yeah.
and she's a superhero. She lost 15 people, I think either 13 or 15 people in 1 year, including her aunt one day I want to say on the 5th, her husband on the 7th, and then her uncle on the 9th, or it could be switched.
Yeah.
And then her mother passed away on New Year's Eve, 2 hours before she had to preach. And so to see, her strength, and knowing that her strength not only came through God, but she is, mentally prepared for this. It was like, okay, as leaders, we have to be able to have a safe space. Everything isn't, I don't down prayer, but sometimes you just need somebody to talk to help you understand that, the weight of the congregates along with your own mental health. And if you have a family, if you have a husband or a wife, you have kids, it can take a toll on you as a leader, and to stop the leading while bleeding. To get the help to lead. So that made my specialty, because I have a therapist. I love my therapist, and I feel like every leader needs some couch time, and you need that space to just have somebody that you can say, hey, I'm dealing with this naturally and spiritually. How do I navigate this while serving the people?
Awesome. Tell us really quickly about the blue-haired preacher. Let's get an action shot of this shirt. I love it.
So the blue-haired preacher, this is a custom-made t-shirt.
Yeah.
The blue-haired preacher.
I love that.
How this started. It started off as a joke. Because when I first cut my hair, COVID made me bored. So I dyed it blue. And that was around the time that I first started preaching. And then I started the lock journey. And so I was like, okay, I like this lock blue look. And so in one
it's beautiful.
sermon, thank you. In one sermon, I said, what did this blue hair preacher tell you? And it kind of caught. And so now, it's just it's my connection, people's like, oh, that's the blue hair preacher. And it really for me was a blessing to have people understand that church doesn't always have to look like doilies and long skirts, and you have to,
I love it.
You gotta look like a missionary. I have 7 tattoos. I have a nose ring. My hair is blue. And for me, it really, that's, and it also helped with me forming my identity as I healed.
Yeah.
Because I lost myself. I lost myself in my past assignment. I lost who I was. And with that, it kind of helps with the healing process of my identity. I'm not lost in a person's identity when you serve them. You are who God called you to be. And for me, it is the blue hair preacher. It is, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get jokes. You're going to get laughs. You're going to see me preaching in Chucks, because I don't like heels like that. But it's that, the sneaker preacher, it really is, it was part of the identity that helped me heal in the last few years. So it kind of caught. So now if you were to watch a sermon and you hear somebody scream, preach blue hair preacher, it's become normal. But I thank God, because that was the way I healed and finding my own identity.
I love it. I've loved seeing the transition, because I remember when when we used to, especially used to dress very traditional, when we would, be on the road and doing some of our ministry work. And I just feel like when I see you now, you're so much more in your authentic self. And I was like, that's the Jessica I know, right? And shout out to your birthday photo shoot. Jessica just had a milestone birthday, and she has some dope pictures on her social media channels. So Jessica's social media channels are below. I do want to ask you one final, and I think, again, one of the things that I love seeing in your development and your journey is I feel like you just gotten, and when I first met you, you were, if I could say, like, you were acting out who people were telling you should be. Right. Yeah. And then like over time, and then I remember you started to knuck if you buck on that a little bit. And you was like, this thing started to like fight back a little bit. And now it's like you found this place where it seems like you're really comfortable in who you are. You found a more authentic self, especially, in like a church and leadership. So, what advice would you have for someone who is sort of wrestling with being authentic that they have in their life and the things that they would want to do?
I would say first, one of my first wisdoms I give people is to understand that don't always allow or take on the identities of the people that are connected to you.
That's good.
They're meant to help you in a process, but you're not meant to be a mini version of them. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times when you're broken and you remember the people that helped you along the way, you take on their attributes, mm-hmm. but you're meant to be different. I'm meant to be different. So that's my first part of wisdom. My second part of wisdom is embrace your authentic and you're quirky. Like I understood. I am quirky. I love the fact that I am very different. My mind frame is different. I see things in a different light, and that's, shown in some of my photo shoot photos. Mm-hmm. It really is, for me, it's to embrace your flaws, but understand your quirkiness. It's what makes you an individual, and to silence the noise. That's my last point, is people are always going to have something to say, but it's only irrelevant if you take it in. Yeah. And so I had to go through a period of silencing the noise, even if it came from somebody I was in a relationship for 10 years or 20 years. Yeah. I had to silence the noise because I know what I heard and I know what God told me. Yeah. And, those are my three nuggets, I would say, is to really just don't lose yourself because you're connected to people, embrace your flaws and your quirkiness, and then silence the noise around you and understand that you are meant to be different, and that is okay.
I love that. I co-sign all three of those. You know what? I've never really thought about the first one, but that is like so deep. I mean, all of them were excellent, but that first one was like so deep. I think we could have a whole nother podcast just on that one alone. But I do have to let Jessica get back to her life up in Buffalo, New York.
Getting ready to go to work, but I chunked out an hour just in case.
No, this is really good. I'm just really appreciative of our, relationship. I'm not gonna say friendship, right? Like
right.
Our relationship, and our sisterhood. And I'm just glad I was able to share just a piece of you with the rest of the world, the people who are in my world who support Work for Change. Thank you for supporting Work for Change. You can find out more about Jessica, her radio show, right below in the links. You can also go to workforchange.llc.com. and get more information there. So please continue to like, subscribe, and share as we work.
I'm so proud of you, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Like even though we're talking about my journey, your journey has been amazing. And so I'm so proud of the person that you become. So I'm gonna always heart, like, and share everything that you do. Because you're doing such an amazing job, and it's such a blessing to be connected to you. So
thank you. I mean, you got me,
but you my girl.
By the hip. Huh? We at the hip.
We really are.
So I know, like, I'm closing out the show, but it's so funny for because people, no one knows our stories. We know our stories, and
it's that's best friend.
It's so beautiful to see like where we are today, and it doesn't mean everything is perfect and everything is shiny, but Jessica know my story and I know her story. And what I'm telling you right now is thank God.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. We
thank God
God for being who God is at the time that God is doing it. But that I was going to say that's the importance of being connected to the right people.
Yeah.
And you'll grow with them. Time and space doesn't
matter.
Doesn't depict relationships. And so that if nothing else that they get from this podcast, you have to learn to really be connected to the right people and make sure the right people in your life aren't jealous of you or want to cause your demise. Like, it's so important to have God connected relationships, and this is definitely one of them. So like, if only they knew. If only they really knew.
Only they really knew. So thanks again, Jessica, and again to those people who are listening, those people who are watching. Thank you again. Please continue to like, subscribe, and share as we continue to work to make the world of work better. Have a great day, everyone.